You're listening to Steely Dan, brought to you by the United States Army Reserve. And I'm Alison Steele, the Nightbird.
Your everlasting summer, you can see it fading fast. So you grab a piece of something that you think is gonna last. Well, you wouldn't even know a diamond if you held it in your hand. The things you think are precious, I can't understand. Are you reeling in the years, stowing away the time? Are you gathering up the tears? Have you had enough of mine? Are you reeling in the years, stowing away the time? Are you gathering up the tears? Have you had enough of mine?
Steely Dan from their excellent album. And we have as our guests in the studio, Walter and Don from Steely Dan. Welcome. How are you?
Fine.
That's good.
Fine.
How many did we leave at home now? How many members are there in Steely Dan altogether?
Well, there's 4 other members. They're back at the hotel.
6. That's a 6-man band.
That's right.
That's a good song title. What instruments do you two play now?
Don plays the piano, and I play the bass guitar.
And the 4 others?
Well, we have 2 guitar players, Danny Diaz and Jeff Baxter. And we have a lead vocalist, Dave Palmer, and Jim Hodder on drums.
I just want to know what makes up that great sound. How long did it take you to, for the sound that you're currently using, that's on the album, to evolve? I mean, was that after much trial and error, or is just that the sound that clicked originally?
Yeah, it just sort of happened spontaneously. We've spent many years developing our writing style. But as far as the sound, we actually had never performed live when we went in to record, and in fact had never played together. And we just sort of took it from there and went in as a studio group, friends getting together.
That's kind of unusual. You had never played together before you went in to make that album?
Not as a group, no. I mean, we'd known each other, but never played together.
That's amazing. You'd all then played with other groups?
Yeah, we've all, had long apprenticeships in, various minor rock and roll groups.
That's amazing. That makes the sound on the album even more fascinating to know that it came together so spontaneously. Let's hear some more from Steely Dan and their album.
I decline to walk the line. They tell me that I'm lazy. Worldly wise, I realize that everybody's crazy. A woman's voice reminds me to serve and not to speak. Am I myself or just another freak? You know there's fire in the hole and nothing left to burn. I'd love to run out now, there's no way left to turn. Don't you know there's fire in the hole and nothing left to burn? I'd love to run out now, there's no way left to turn. Yeah. Da, 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 da.
Steely Dan. And the sound that was born off the top of their heads, you might say. I would think that a group going in like that and making music extemporaneously might run into a lot of, well, you like to do it one way and you see it another way. Isn't it rather unusual that your heads just came together all at once?
We had enough of common ground musically that that didn't really happen. And where there were, conflicts, we just managed to work them out,
What kind of backgrounds, for instance, musically did you have? Were you classically trained musicians or just pick up a guitar?
Most of us are primarily self-taught. Jeffrey studied for a while, and Donald studied for a while. But it's basically styles that we've evolved ourselves from playing with.
That's amazing.
Various.
How you can pick up an instrument and just learn to
We all
make
have, technical backgrounds, even though we haven't studied formally, many of us.
And you write all your own songs. Who does most of the writing?
Walter and I do all the writing for Steely Dan.
Let's take a song, for instance, like Reeling in the Years. Where does an inspiration for something like that come from? I got a dead silence here. Don't you remember how you felt when you wrote it?
Well, it's always a difficult question, how you feel when you write a song. It can spring from just about anything.
Where did that one spring from?
Well, I think with that one, we came up with the musical idea first rather than the lyrical, and added the lyrics later. Each song is different,
In other words, sometimes you get the music first and then the lyrics, and sometimes you get the lyrics first and then the music.
Yeah.
That's interesting. We're going to take a moment here to, with your permission, to talk about Army Reserve. Your local Army Reserve unit offers you training in 300 career skills, from electronics and communications to medicine and finance. The exact number of career skills depends on the requirements of your local unit, of course. And this might be the start of a whole new career for you, or a second, just-in-case career, or a way to move up in the job you have now. In return for this, you'll have a minimum of 4 months of active duty training. Then you'll attend 4 4-hour meetings a month and spend 2 weeks each summer with the reserve. You'll be paid, and paid well. Steady extra income that you can count on. If it sounds like a pretty fair exchange to you, then get things started in your local reserve unit. That's the Army Reserve. It pays to go to meetings. This is the Nightbird, Alison Steele for the United States Army Reserve, and our guest today is Steely Dan. Steely Dan. That's music from their great album. And we have, let's see, 2/6, which would be 1/3, right, of the group. There are 4 more at home. Walter and Dawn are visiting with us in the studio today. Now that you've got pretty much a hit album, it's on the charts, the popularity charts, you've been doing a lot of touring, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. We've been over most of the country by now, and New York, Los Angeles, and everything in between.
How do you like touring?
It's interesting. I think it was a new experience for Walter and I. Most of the other members are experienced on the road.
Mm-hmm.
For us, 6 weeks tour is really a long haul, but we're getting used to it.
Had you ever been out of New York before?
Yeah, we used to. Walter and I used to back up Jay and the Americans, a group from another decade, which is still floating around.
Certainly is, Allie. Yeah.
And we went touring with them, mostly on the East Coast, but we'd never been west before.
I think one of the important factors in a new group going out on tour is who they tour with. The old practice of putting a new group as an opening act, and then who have you been touring with?
We've played with quite a few people. We played with Elton John, the Kinks, James Gang, Rare Earth, Doobie Brothers.
Great.
Taj Mahal, did a show with Taj Mahal.
Great. Elton John, for instance, now he's a quote heavy. What kind of reception, for instance, do you get from an audience at an Elton John concert? I mean, are they tolerant? I mean, do they give you a good reception?
Yeah, they were more than tolerant. I think our music is somewhat sophisticated in the same way that Elton John's is, especially harmonically and lyrically, and they're very receptive. Yeah.
That's good. The only reason it was no aspersion against you, I've seen some of the greatest opening groups in America get short shrift because they were the opening act for something like
That's true.
Sly or, you know, some really heavy act where I don't know what concert audiences are out of New York, but I know New York, they can be deadly when they're waiting for the main line
quite true.
group to come in. We're going to take a couple of seconds here and talk about Army Reserve, and then we'll hear more of Steely Dan's music. You know, the Army Reserve is working with the community, working with the environment, building ballparks for kids, cleaning up polluted waterways, holding mass inoculations to ward off epidemics, being wherever they're needed, whenever they're needed. And when we say it pays to go to meetings, we're talking about a lot more than just money. And as promised, more music from Steely Dan.
Times are hard, you're afraid to pay the fee, so you find yourself somebody who can do the job for free. When you need a bit of loving, 'cause your man is out of town, that's the time you get me running, and you know I'll be around. I'm a fool to do your dirty work, oh yeah. I don't wanna do your dirty work no more. I'm a fool to do your dirty work, oh yeah. Light the candle, put the lock upon the door. You have sent the maid home early like 1,000 times before. Like the castle in his corner in a medieval game, I foresee terrible trouble, and I stay here just the same. I'm a fool to do your dirty work, oh yeah. I don't wanna do your dirty work no more. I'm a fool to do your dirty work, oh yeah. Oh yeah, I don't wanna do your dirty work no more. I'm a fool to do your dirty work, oh yeah. I don't wanna do your dirty work no more. I'm a fool to do your dirty work, oh yeah.
Steely Dan. Oh, and it's a good sound. And we're talking to Walter and Don. What's your ambition as far as where the band's going to go? I mean, what do you feel is the ultimate, the epitome that a band can reach?
Well,
I see a big question.
Why don't you take this one?
I'd like to have a band. I'd like to make a couple of great records. You know, records that I really think are totally fulfilling to myself. And I'd like to have a band that performs well live and in a kind of and has a lot of has developed some degree of communication between the musicians. And that takes a long time,
I
That
suppose
only
it
comes from
does.
playing together, working together.
What do you think the future is of the concert business? We have, sometimes I get a feeling, and I know that a lot of the kids worry about it too. You get the feeling that it's peaked because in the last couple of years it's been gung-ho on concerts. Do you think it'll continue that way?
Yeah, I think it will. I think the concerts will get better.
You hope it will, right, yeah.
There's several different reasons to go to a concert. You know, some concerts are more like parties.
A lot of them.
Yeah, many of them, especially
It's a social thing.
in the middle of the country.
Mhm.
And other concerts are, you know, just more musical events, you know, where people really come to listen. And, you know, I think there's a future for both those sort of concerts. I think the main thing is to decide which group should play at the parties and which group should play at the concerts, you know.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of the concerts that happen here in New York, I know, and I only can speak from experience, they're social functions, you know, like the Vampire and her Six Bats could be playing up there or in the cracks, and nobody would really care because it's just a coming together of a whole culture. What about the spiraling prices, for instance? I don't intend to ask. It's none of my business, but I do know that there are certain top groups in the business who get an astronomical fee for appearing, like the Grateful Dead, for instance, and it continues to go up.
That's true, but of course the promoters have more money to deal with, and you know, the business is just escalating to where you know, it's actually the same. It's just the proportions are all higher, you know.
Yeah, well, I know. Every once in a while I get the kids complaining, and I say, hey, listen, you know, the cost of living is going up. Your mother buying milk and bread, well, don't think it doesn't go up for the groups, too, which I guess you have to keep in mind. We're going to take a couple of seconds here and talk about Army Reserve, and then we'll hear more of Steely Dan's music.
Get it together, not alone. Get it together, till you're on your own. Don't you know it's day to go to meeting time for the good things you deserve? Don't you know it pays to go to meetings in the Army Reserve?
The Army Reserve. It pays in a lot of ways. You're paid for every meeting and each 2-week summer camp you attend. Extra money you can use in a lot of ways. And you get the chance to further your present skills or learn new ones. A chance that can really pay off in your civilian career.
It pays, it pays. It pays to go to meetings. It pays, it pays. It pays to go to meetings. It pays.
And now more music from Steely Dan.
In the morning you go gunning for the man who stole your water. Then you fight till he is done, but they catch you at the border. And the mourners are all singing as they drag you by your feet. But the hangman isn't hanging, and they put you on the street. Yeah, you go back, Jack, do it again. Wheel turning round and round. You go back, Jack, do it again.
I wish we had more time to talk, but we've run out. We've been talking to members of Steely Dan. And this is Alison Steele, the Nightbird, reminding you that it pays to go to meetings in the Army Reserve.